The Jags want to win. They got to let it all hang out, man. Throw caution to the wind. I'll tell you all about that here on the Wednesday edition of Locked On Jaguars.
You are Locked On Jags, your daily Jacksonville Jaguars podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What is happening, folks? Good people on this good day. It's Jaguars Chiefs this week. We're going to lay it down for you here on the Locked On Jaguars podcast as we do every single day because it's your team every day. We thank you for making us your first listen. A reminder that we're free on all platforms, wherever you get your podcast and on YouTube. No money is involved. It is all for free. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline is where the game starts. Where do I start? Y'all miss me? Well, let me tell you what's going on, man. I came on a trip to Playa del Carmen in Mexico. It was a business trip that I also made a little bit personal because I brought my best friend, my wife, with me. And as you all know, in case you don't know, if you're in Jacksonville, there's a tropical storm / hurricane going through the state of Florida. So my flight back home was canceled, right? I had to re-up for 2 more days here, and I did not have good Wi-Fi. So I think yesterday we didn't get an episode in, but I found Wi-Fi in my new dwellings that I'm going to be here with, and I'm all good. Everything's fine. Credit card went through, all of that stuff. We got another flight out, so I'll be back in Jacksonville Friday. So just to let you guys know a little bit of behind the veil, a little bit of housekeeping. I know y'all don't want to hear about that crap, and y'all back there stuck in a tropical storm, and I'm in sunny Mexico. Ain't nobody going to feel sorry for me, but I don't want you to. I just wanted to explain to you why things were a little bit different. If things look or appear a little bit differently, that's why. It is a little bit different this week because the Jaguars won a game. They came back from a 17-0 deficit. The last time I spoke to everyone, I believe it was Monday, we talked about how the Jaguars learned something about themselves a little bit, and they came back and they did something I didn't even think that they were capable of doing, and that is coming from behind, because that has not been the blueprint that we talked about for what they have to do in order to be good and to stay ahead of the sticks and keep the balance of the game in their favor. So yeah, the supernatural happened. That's what athletics is all about, and we're glad. I think they did more than win a game, though. I think they won something about themselves, and they won something from each other. And now they have, if they didn't have the confidence in their coach, something good happened for them. They went out and snatched the win, and Trevor Lawrence had what I believe is his best game as a Jaguar. I think he was absolutely fantastic. He wasn't just a game manager. He was Mr. Efficiency, and he went down the field with the ball and threw the ball in some tight windows while he was getting a lot of pressure. So every single thing that you wanted to happen the other day happened. All of the guys that needed to play well played well. The edge rushers probably didn't get there as much, but Dewan Smoot, he's an edge rusher, and he more than picked up the slack for everyone else and had a couple of big sacks. And Devin Lloyd and the crew were running around at linebacker, and Tyson Campbell and those guys got busy in the defensive backfield and tightened up in the second half. So what do we have to do to win against the Chiefs? Remember all of that stuff we were saying, like Doug has to help his team, and Doug Pederson has to not put them in certain positions, and he has to be a little cautious because they're young and they can't handle it, and going for it on 4th down and throwing it in the red zone and chunking the ball downfield too much and not being patient and taking what a team is giving you. Now that they know that, and I'm going to use a basketball analogy here in just a second. Now that they know that that's the way to go and that's how they can play, and they can do that, this is actually the game I think he needs to throw caution to the wind, because you ain't going to beat the Chiefs by kicking field goals. This is where I think he needs to let it all out. And the approach might be, look, you finally did what I wanted you to do. I finally did what I should have been doing in the way that we were managing the game the other day. You did it by default because you actually got behind, and you probably should have I think they may have thought, man, if we go too crazy, we're going to get blown out of here. It's going to be 34-0 at the end of the third quarter. So we have to control this thing and just take it one play at a time and be patient and be careful. I don't want them to do that this week. I think they've earned the right because they know if they need to, they can do that. And I want to see the Jaguars do what they did last Sunday with patience but confidence. I want to see them do it in the fourth quarter. But the first three quarters, I want them to throw everything and the kitchen sink at the Kansas City Chiefs. There's a couple of things at play here. So what we're going to do in segment 2 is we're going to talk about the offense and what the offense needs to do. They know what's coming because Doug Pederson is playing against his mentor in Andy Reid. There's a lot of familiarity there. 2, in segment 3, we're going to talk about the defense. And they need to play the way the Bucs played the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl a couple of years ago. And guess what? Mike Caldwell was on that staff, so he knows what it looks like, and he knows he's not going to be out here thinking like, oh, my God, I've never seen anybody stop them. They can look at the tape from last week when Mike Vrabel and crew did a pretty good job of holding them together. So some things we're going to go over on offense and defense, some things going to be very, very familiar with you guys and all of us here as we talk about, and I know y'all think I'm crazy by saying the Jaguars need to throw caution to the wind. Do it. Do it. Go for it on fourth down. Throw the ball deep. Run Trevor. Run reverses. Now that you have the full complement of your guys back healthy on offense with Jamal Agnew and Travis Etienne, Christian Kirk coming off of a very good game. You have Dan Arnold made a big play from the tight end position the other day in the passing game. I hope the Chiefs come in here overlooking the Jaguars. And I hope the Jaguars throw everything they have at the Chiefs. And then when the Chiefs need to make a run at the end, I want the Jaguars to go efficiency, 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 and actually run that script that they ran last week when they got that lead. I'll tell you why I think it can happen. If y'all can hear me, I'm really, really confident that the Jaguars are going to do something because they're like a kid. What are you scared for? They're too young to be afraid. They're too young to know what they're facing. Just go out there and just slap them upside the head the way you did the Chargers on the road in week 2. I think it could happen, and I'm confident, and I'm not giving y'all false hope. I really, really do believe. I got a gut feeling. I feel it. I feel it in my bones. This team has not lost a game. In fact, they have not lost the game by more than one score. I think they're going to give the Chiefs everything that they can handle, and I actually think they're going to win the game. And I know y'all think I'm crazy, but I promise you, I'm not down here in Mexico doing something I ain't got no business doing. I'm not down here hanging out with certain people and ingesting anything into my body that's making my brain go crazy. I'm dead serious. Now, today's episode is brought to you by Simply Safe. That's SIMPLISAFE. Simply Safe. If you thought about securing your home with home security, but you have been putting it off, you'll want to listen up right now. Locked On Jaguars listeners can order the #1 rated Simply Safe home security system for 50% off. This is their biggest offer of the year, and you won't want to miss it. It's holiday season, man. Just think about all of the things that you have in your house and new boxes and just going shopping all the time. And no one wants the holiday season to be disrupted by someone violating your personal space. Did you know that over the holidays, property crimes like burglaries and package thefts spike nationally? That's why our friends at Simply Safe Home Security are offering 50% off their award-winning security system so that more families can feel safe and secure over the holiday season. And when you're not at home, they're always watching. They're monitoring. Simply Safe, whether it was a 24/7 monitoring agent or Simply Safe tech support staff, they will always be there for you in any time. In any emergency, 24/7 professional monitoring agents use Fast Protect technology exclusively from Simply Safe to capture critical evidence and verify the threat is real so you can get priority police response. Don't miss your chance to save big on the only security system I recommend. Get 50% off any new Simply Safe system at simplysafe.com/lockedon. That's simplysafe.com/lockedon. This is the biggest discount of the year, so don't wait. The simplysafe.com It's /LockedOnNFL. Make sure you put the NFL in. simplysafe.com/LockedOnNFL. So there's no safe like Simply Safe. Ain't no place to be like Locked On Jaguars with me having a good time talking about what we hope is going to be a Jaguars victory come Sunday in KC. I think they can do it. I'm not trying to hype you up, man. I'm not overzealous and out of my mind because I'm having such a great time on vacation. No, I'm telling you, I think the Jaguars can win the game. So if I do that, I just can't talk about luck, and I just can't keep mentioning that just to take advantage of your emotion. I got to tell you how and why I think it could happen. Offensively, let Trevor sling it on those corners. I don't believe in the corners for the Chiefs. I know they've improved. I still don't believe them. Show me. I know it's a Show Me State, Missouri, but I think they're Kansas City, Kansas, right? But in any event, you're close enough. I think you have to let Trevor Lawrence let it rip against Patrick Mahomes, against one of the guys that is the quintessential quarterbacks that are mentioned along with Josh Allen. It's amazing now. Last year, the Jaguars beat Buffalo and Josh Allen. Wouldn't it be something if Trevor is 2-0 against the two quarterbacks that he's always compared to? Or 3-0 if you add in Justin Herbert, because he's always compared to him too. And he almost got Joe Burrow last year on the infamous Thursday night game where somebody didn't get on the plane, but we ain't going to talk about that. Let it go, man. He had the best game of his career. Let him rip. Let Trevor Lawrence rip. Let him use ETN, Kirk, Jamal Agnew is back. Throw it to the tight end. As great as the Chiefs are, and they have a very good defense also, especially up front, that's not what they're known for, man. What they're known for is their offense. You got to score points. You ain't going to sit there. I know last week they beat Tennessee 20-17, but Tennessee's going to Tennessee. That's what they do. They want that game to have that score. If you're the Jaguars, you got to let this thing go. You got to come out there and you got to be aggressive, measured, but aggressive, and let this thing go. You have to go out there and throw just pedal to the metal aggression. Like, we ain't come here to have no moral victories. We came here to put this thing on you, and that's what we're going to do. All right. So I really do think they have some advantages with Travis Etienne, even though the Chiefs got some fast linebackers. Christian Kirk, keeping the sticks moving. Those guys, Dan Arnold, those tight ends and that they're using, especially Dan Arnold in the passing game, he can give you some stuff down the seam and on those deep outs with his size. It's hard to overthrow a guy that tall. And I think the offensive line can hold their own and do a good job, even though Chris Jones is a handful for the Chiefs. Still, I just think this is the game because they played so well last week. They found this little hot spot with the balance and not going for it and getting the field goals. They missed a field goal last week that was almost too critical, but they had the confidence. They put the kid back in and he made one. So to give him a 7-point deficit at the end. But I think this is the basketball analogy I talked about using. So when I was coaching basketball or coached the women's team in Europe with my buddy Telvin, that ended up winning the USAFE championship. That's the United States Air Force in Europe championship. They lost one game. They avenged that one game with a 60-point win, right? We did. But prior to that, we lost that one game because even though we were super, super athletic and had this great team with former college players on it, and nobody could run with us, we told them at some point they were going to have to play fundamental basketball. You know, San Antonio Spurs, Indiana Hoosiers. Someone was going, you can't just go up, show up, roll the ball out there and run up and down the court just because you're going to out-athlete people. You can get away with that, but in order to win a championship, you're going to run into someone that's going to make you execute. So that game was almost a sacrificial game. We lost by 1 point, but what we did was we made them execute. And we lost. And everyone said, you guys should have run them out of the gym. You got way better athletes. What are you doing? We knew exactly what we were doing because in the semifinals that year, we ran into another team that had really good athletes just like us who made us execute. And we ended up beating them by 15 because we got them late. But had we not taken the time to teach them and tell them you have to earn the privilege to run, we would have never won the championship. By the way, in the championship, we met the team that beat us earlier that year, and we beat them by 16. Here's the point. Last week, the Jaguars, in my opinion, learned how to do things the right way from a player perspective as well as from a coaching perspective. Now we've earned the right, even if it's just one game, because you've seen it. I think they've earned the right, the coaches as well as the players, to let it rip. And then during the course of the game, if you have the lead, dial it back down to being efficient again, and they'll still score points, because they won't look at it as a source of fear. They won't look at it like we're taking our foot off the gas. What they're doing is you're doing something called winning games. It's how boxers win rounds. It's you go into coast mode and you know exactly what it is. You're confident. They have shown that they can do it. And even though it's only been one game, the thing is once you prove to yourself, not even just to us, but to themselves, that they can play this way and they can be efficient, then the club now knows and they believe this is what we have to do. So when they go over there, if they got a lead or something, and Doug says, all right, we got 8 minutes. Here's what we're going to do. Let's run it. Let's hike that ball with 2 seconds left on the clock. Stay down in your stance. No false starts. Play with confidence. No holding. Be confident that everything we're going to do, we're going to run 3 plays and we're going to end up with a first down. And we're going to go down the field and we're going to get to the 1 yard line and we're going to score, but we're going to eat up 6 minutes off of this clock. That, to me, is what they have earned by the way that they played last week, with their poise and with their execution. And we might see them now graduate to a point where there's nothing like demonstrated performance. The demonstrated performance that shows that you can do things a certain way. And if you believe in yourself and stick to the program and play a sound brand of football, when it comes together, it works. And it worked last week to a 27-3 run against the Raiders. I'm going to tell you what they can do defensively in segment 3. I have to let you know, though, that since you make Locked On Jaguars your first listen, your second listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today show. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today, available on this app, YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. And today's episode is brought to you by Blue Nile. Blue Nile is the truth because they allow you to mark time with a beautiful piece, with an engagement ring, a time ring, anything that involves diamond. Blue Nile offers the largest selection of independently graded diamonds and pieces priced significantly below traditional retailers. They've helped millions of couples create the perfect engagement ring. Their easy online tools let you choose the diamond, shape, size, and clarity, as well as the setting style. And Blue Nile's bench jewelers will then help you handcraft her perfect one-of-a-kind engagement ring. Looking for a piece of jewelry, any kind of fine jewelry to commemorate a special milestone, having a baby, anniversary. But if you're still having trouble choosing, Blue Nile has jewelry experts on hand 24/7, available via phone or chat to help you find a memorable gift at every budget. Now, make your moment sparkle with Blue Nile. Go to BlueNile.com and use the code LOCKEDON to save $50 on your purchase of $500 or more. I'll say it again. That's BlueNile.com. With the code is locked on, and you're going to save $50 on your purchase of $500 or more. It's BlueNile.com, code locked on. Third and final segment here on Locked On Jaguars. I'm Tony Wiggins. We thank you again for making us your first listen here on the Locked On Jaguars podcast, your daily podcast where it's your team every day. I chronicled what the offense can do, and now I'm going to tell you what the defense can do. Devin Lloyd, number 1 pick, all athletic and stuff. I got a tough job for you, man. Devin Lloyd, I want you to stick in Travis Kelce's chest all day and use your 6'3", 239-pound, 4.5 speed frame. You're young. He's going to get you sometimes. But we're going to give you a little help. We're going to run a little bracket coverage. We'll get out nickel a little bit because we ain't worried about them pounding the ball down our throat. And we're going to tell our guys to get on Patrick Mahomes so he has to get rid of the ball very, very quickly. But Devin Lloyd, got a job for you, man. You have to stick the guy that is arguably one of the 3 greatest tight ends, and some people will say he's the GOAT, but I don't know if he has enough touchdowns, but one of the 3 greatest tight ends, I believe, to ever play the game. Shannon Sharp probably would say, no, he's one of the 4. But that's hard. But guess what? This is the NFL, and sometimes you have to do hard things. And Devin Lloyd, Sunday is your day. But we're going to help you out a little bit. And here's how we're going to help you out. We're going to tell our edge rushers, and Mike Caldwell has a plan because he actually was on the team and on the staff that stopped Patrick Mahomes in the Super Bowl and held them to 9 points when he was with Tampa. Doesn't mean that he has those guys. Doesn't mean it's going to work the same way. Doesn't mean he's going to do everything that Tampa did just because that was his last stop as an assistant coach. But at least he's seen it. At least he's been a part of the game plan that shut them down in the biggest game on the biggest stage in front of the biggest crowd in their life. The defensive linemen have to remember this. Don't get beyond this dude's armpits. And he makes it easy for them not to be able to do that because sometimes he'll drop back and twirl around, look like a figure skater, 25 yards behind the line of scrimmage. What you have to understand is this. Patrick Mahomes is never down. Patrick Mahomes never, ever concedes that a play is dead. So you can't assume that the play is dead if you're on a defense, and you can't assume that he's going to throw it away because he'll cock that thing sideways and it'll go 40 yards down the field and he'll hit somebody right in the numbers. Harass him. He's going to give you some opportunities. He's going to throw some balls that hit guys in the chest. Andre Sisco, you got to catch these this week because everything's going to matter because they are not going to stop coming. They are not going to stop coming. So once again, I'll repeat, don't give him a getaway lane or give him a getaway alley. Stay after him, pressure him. You're going to get some blitzes so he can get the ball out of his hands quickly. And when you blitz, you better stay in your lane because if you don't, he will take off and run. And then it becomes a long day. Make him get the ball out of his hand quickly. You have to tackle well in space. Devin Lloyd, I'm calling you down, brother. It is on you to stop Travis Kelce. We're going to give you a little help. But you got to be that man. You got to be the guy that this team traded all of those picks for, or a couple of draft picks to move up and take at the end of the first round, because this is the thing that you do. You cover. Devin Lloyd can tackle. He's big. He's physical. He takes on blockers. But the thing is that all we ever heard was how athletic he was. And all we ever heard is how he can get out and cover people. He's like a linebacker and a safety. Now you got to be that. Got to be that this weekend. And I'm telling you, y'all, I got a good feeling about this game on Sunday. Mark my word. All right, just for housekeeping, I'm going to let you know, we're going to try to get together and do a crossover if this whole international Wi-Fi thing works out. I'm going to try to do a crossover show with the Chiefs so we can get that to you. Just in case you don't get it, don't be mad at me, but I'm going to do the best I can. And until then, if not, I'll be right back with you on tomorrow. And then I travel on Friday, but I'll probably record an episode and get that out to you, because if I don't, I'll do it when I get back home into the confines of my own home and studio. Therefore, we'll have you something out for the weekend to give you a last minute look and previews at some of the matchups and the key things that have to happen in the storylines for the Chiefs game. Until then, you guys continue to take care of each other. I know there's a storm there. Be safe. Be safe. Take care of each other. And we'll see you the next time here on Locked On Jaguars.